first flight has now been sold because...
Steve Sauger brought along his masterpiece as a Ronca sedan, past FAI world-class airplane, his own design. Great job. You've got to see this airplane up close, that's all I can tell you. The workmanship is phenomenal. Steve uses a 4-stroke for power. And for some reason this year didn't place as well as he usually does, but he did 13th, and he's usually, I'm sorry, no he did not. Yes he did, 13th place. Usually he's in the top 10, but for some reason, I don't know if the crosswind bothered him or what, but he just was down off his normal scale. But this airplane flies very, very well. I should say he flies it very, very well, and he has really become quite an accomplished pilot. I guess practice does make perfect, I don't know. These lightly loaded airplanes do have a problem with the wind, and Steve's was no exception. Okay, we're back. Frankie T here again. Palm Beach Polo Club, West Palm Beach, Florida. Today we have Nick Zeroli on my right and Bill Steffes on my left. Bill's from upstate New York, Schenectady. Nick's from Long Island. They are in team scale, and they have chosen to enter one of Nick's newest designs, the Twin Beechcraft. First question goes to Nicky. Why this airplane?
Well, Frank, this airplane, the more we show it and the more people see it, it's amazing how many people have been connected with this airplane, have flown it, have done this and done that with it, and it's an airplane that just nobody models. And
somebody said at the field earlier today, an older guy was running around, he said, you know something, he said that airplane has probably got as much service time on it as a DC-3. Is that true?
It was being manufactured longer than the DC-3. It started being manufactured in 1937, and they manufactured basically the same airplane until 1969. They did have tricycle gear, extended tips, a little higher cabin, but it was basically the same airplane.
What's the proper designation of this airplane? Everybody calls it a Twin Beech. That's not proper, though, is it?
No, it is classically known as the Twin Beech, but it is the D-18 is the Beech designation. Military-wise, it's a C-45, it's an AT-7 with the bombardier nose, the glass nose that some of them had. It's the AT-11. It's the gunner with a turret. They put a turret in the back of them. They called it the gunner. It was the expediter. It was many things. The Navy used them. The Army used them. Air Force. Everybody used them.
Gotcha. Billy, you built this thing. This is probably, I guess, the prototype.
This is the prototype.
You started from Nicky's plans?
Yep. He sent me up the first set of plans last July. We went through the plans, and I started building it in August.
We looked at this airplane pretty close before, and it looks pretty accurate. In fact, the only place that I saw any discrepancy at all, I'm not even sure why, the shape of the front of the cowl looked a little odd. Otherwise, I'm told this thing is about as accurate as one as you can get. How did you find it?
Well, Nick found the 3 views from Historical Aviation and
Paul Matz. Yep.
Okay, and they're very good 3 views. Scaled them up from that, and even when I was detailing and laying the panel lines, the rivets, and all the detail work on the plane, everything fell right where it was supposed to fall. It's the first model I've ever done that way.
What using for power?
I'm using 2 quad 35s.
Would you, if you did it again, would you upgrade it or leave it alone?
I would leave it alone. It's plenty enough power.
What's it weigh?
It weighs 34 pounds.
34.
34.
Is that about what you expected? I mean, you know, when you're designing it, I want this to weigh...
I expected maybe a little bit more. I have one also. It weighs 36 pounds. I probably have a little heavier finish than Bill has. I have 2 Zenith 38s in mine, and it flies very well. It's acrobatic. It's a very, very good flying airplane.
It's aerobatic.
Aerobatic, you're right.
Acrobats,
they do that from trapezes.
Najla Kamenetsky or something.
You're right. You're right.
You know.
You're right. This is aerobatic.
Now, is it true that the windshield wipers work?
No, they don't. But
somebody told me they work.
Well, I'll get inside and do it if you want me to.
Well, they said it has to rain first, and I said, well, I got to wait for it to rain.
Yeah, but it does have the rubber on them, though.
Whose retracts?
These are Robart retracts, and I would suggest if anybody does build it and wants to build it, use Robart. They are fantastic.
Didn't Nicky just didn't design the airplane around them? I mean,
no, he designed the retracts for the airplane.
No kidding.
No, these are designed specifically for the D-18.
Well, they say that Tommy Walker's really coming around by that kid.
He's learning.
He's all right, huh? Finally.
It's got a Robart tail wheel in it.
Robart tail wheel, too. The color scheme is very attractive. Why did you pick this color scheme?
A friend of mine who is a pilot he gets Trader Plane, and it was on the front cover of Trader Plane, and he called me up and he said, Bill, you got to take a look at this picture. I'm sure you're going to like it. As soon as I saw it, I fell in love with it.
Did you write the pilot? And
I called the pilot. He's out in Red Bluff, California. His name is Captain Mike Rust. I called him up, and I talked to him for about an hour on the phone. And I said, if I send you a roll of film, will you take some pictures of your aircraft? And he said, I'd be more than willing to take those for you.
have you sent him back the result?
I've got the pictures now because it's still fairly new, and I wanted to get some nice shots to send back to him. And I'm going to definitely send him the pictures.
That's one thing that's very important. I'll bring this up. We hound these guys that we want to build a model of their airplane, and sometimes we forget to send back those pictures. Like he says, you know, he'll get some nice pictures. Do that. That's important. God gives you his time. Send back the pictures. Most pilots love that. When you model their airplane, it's an ego trip like you can't believe.
Right. Well, I modeled mine after Bobby Yunkins, who is he does aerobatic work with it. And he was over here at Sun and Fun a couple of weeks ago, and I met him and saw his airplane, saw him perform, and he had sent me some pictures of his airplane, and I painted mine like his, and I got to get some video and photos to send him. And he's a modeler also.
Gotcha.
So he's looking forward to it.
Well, listen, I want to thank you guys very much. As it turns out, I'm competing against you in team scale, but I think you're going to beat me.
Oh.
But anyway, thanks for coming down, Billy.
Thanks, Frank. Thanks for inviting us.
Nick?
Frank, it's always a pleasure. You know that. Good.
Nick does a good job with this airplane. He's only got about 10 flights on it, and he does a very good job with it. It's a big airplane. It's pretty simple to fly, of course, which helps a lot. A lot of wing, very responsive to flaps. These guys went on to take second place in team scale, which was worth a few $100 a piece to them and some nice prizes. I understand that a few of the guys from California bought a set of Nick's plans and cowls and canopy. They were very impressed with this. I think it was the Sky Reader guys, in fact. This airplane is impressive. It is aerobatic, as you can see, because there it does a loop, and it looks good in the air. It just looks good. This is Bill Harris's F-86 Sabre, the one in the Royal Canadian Air Force Golden Hawks color scheme. Bill went on to take, I believe, 12th place with this airplane. No, sorry, 33rd place with this airplane. I believe he had to abort 1 or 2 rounds because of radio interference. He was one of the other 2 unexplained interference problems. We don't know why. Thank goodness it was only 2. But he went on after this contest to win the Scale Masters Regional out in Missouri, I believe. So nice to hear that he's doing well with the airplane. It certainly is pretty. Boy, Werner gets those tanks every time, doesn't he? Coming up, you're going to see one of the best landings of Top Gun by a jet. Watch this. That's smooth. This airplane was on display. I can't tell you anything about it, but it's pretty. I can tell you a lot about this airplane. Wild Bill McCallie's P-40 from Jerry Bates plans. I know Bill wound up finishing, I should say, I think in 14th place. Yeah, 80-inch airplane. 19 pounds, Super Tiger 2500. Bill was the recipient of the Top Buns Award, which some female started a couple of years ago, last year I guess at Top Gun, and Bill won the award this year, Mr. Top Buns. Anyway, getting back to his airplane, it flies well, and Bill certainly flies it well. This is Tim Schooner from Miniature Aircraft. He put on a display at lunchtime on Saturday that was just unbelievable. People that had never seen a helicopter fly, well, they gave him a standing ovation, I think. So, I mean, Some people say, oh, they're so boring. You have to watch this airplane. He does things with this helicopter that I have never seen done before. Upside down, inside out, crossways, backwards, inverted flybys, inverted hover. It goes on and on, but he has got to be one of the country's best. There's your inverted flying. Unbelievable. Listen to Sam Wright, the announcer. He tells it better than I do.
Sunday found a new way to cut grass. Keep your eye on the XL60. What a great way to do this at home. Right in your backyard. By the way, that is one of the exceptional features of model helicopters, is you are not restricted to the place you can fly them other than noise and safety. Is it close enough? You want it lower. Let them hear the applause. You can barely get a frog under those rotor blades. Nerves of steel? Not necessarily, but it's not the time to be scratching your nose. Going back up now to altitude in the vertical mode, you'll roll it back into the upright position, but showing you that he has complete control. By the way, the engine is turning up about 20,000 RPM on a tuned pipe to extract all the horsepower that he needs, because he is putting it through some real tight, stressful. And then a whole list of a lot of things the fixed wing cannot do. We're going to show you one of them. Tim Scooter.